Alright, good afternoon, this is Lynx. I'm going to wing it for this video because it seems like there's something important in... I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to use this brand new deck I got to make a point. This is called the Little Deck of Horrors. Playing card deck. I like decks that have monsters, or things that have monsters, because they remind us of our fears. And every monster can shed light into our fears and what limits us. So I'm going to talk about the subject that I deal with a lot with people, which is life's purpose. One of the things that people want to do all the time is life's purpose. And I do a reading on life's purpose, but I ask questions. This is not a psychic, I'm going to tell you who you are. I remember years ago I used to see some of those big pop psychics, and someone would stand up in the audience and they'd go, every once in a while I'd catch it, and invariably someone would stand up in the audience and go, "What's my life's purpose?" And the pop psychic would go, "You're a nurse. You're in IT. You're a systems analyst." And that's just absurd to think that that's your life's purpose. Your career is not your life's purpose. Okay. That said, some of the things that stand in the way of people expressing their life's purpose, because someone's always telling you what your life's purpose should be. From the time you're like this big, someone's telling you this is who you're going to be. Oh, you're going to be a basketball player. Oh, you're going to be this. You're going to be that. They tell you who you're going to be. When we get up, we get confused. And we're so confused that we're running around by our fears. And we can't find who we are because we're running around by our fears. So I'm going to use this deck now to illustrate some of those things. Our fears. We worry. They start us right from the time we're like in kindergarten. They start us, oh, you got to grow up and you got to get a good job or you're not going to have any money and you're going to be on the streets. So, worry. They start us with worry, right? They never tell us to be calm. They never tell us to be natural to who we are. Natural to who we are. Here we go. I just opened to it too. To be in sync with what's going on around us. They worry. Okay. So what happens is we get to be adults and all of a sudden we got all these fears installed, and I'm going to show you. Fear of death. Right away. Fear of death. Sometimes I think people don't fear death enough. They live a life that's really not worth living, not realizing that someday this is going to come. So maybe this should be the crown. This card should be the crown, maybe, of this. You are here from the moment you are born here. You start dying. And if you don't make something out of this, you miss it all. So then we got these two guys, the jokers, the ghosts. We got the ghosts of our past constantly haunting us. Something that happened in our past is constantly influencing our future. So we never live in the present. By the way, this is also how you open up to a brand new deck and get it to work with you. So what I'm doing is I'm bonding with this deck while I'm doing this with you too. So we got that stuff, and then we got, let's see what we got here. We got our, is that a double? Let me look quick. These are all monsters, so let me look quickly through. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got a dragon here, okay? So we got fear of our own passion, okay? We are afraid that if we do what we're passionate about, we'll be rejected, we will be lost, we won't make any money. Let me get that one. Fear of no money. Actually, it probably should be like that. Actually, you know what? Those would be fulfilled money. Let me say the fear of no money. There we go. Or if we actually want to, fear of bills. All right. Look at this. We got like a whole We got a whole deck based on the fears that we do to avoid everything. Robot. So the fear that we're going to have to do the same thing day in, day out. Not like what we do. That people should have that one more too. That one scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. That we'll be doing the same thing day in, day out. Or the fear that we're going to actually try to do what we love, but that someone's going to prey upon us. Oh my God. Someone that can actually show us how things are done, or a way to actually liberate ourselves. We're afraid they're going to prey on us. Religions do a good job of this. Anything that'll set you free. Oh, they're trying to prey on you. We got fear of success. That's a big one. That one I see in clients more than I think anything else. The fear of success. So these are all the reasons why people won't even bother to try to investigate or see what their core purpose is. And I'm not talking about career. People automatically assume these days that when you're talking about purpose, you're talking about career. Well, I want to do this, but I can't make money. Oh my God, money. Again, the big money one. I can only love it in life if it comes with a paycheck. What's the point of living? Jack of Diamonds. Hauntings of a childhood lost. That keep us. Queen of Diamonds. I'm afraid of having no power. And in so doing, and in afraid of having no power, people put themselves in the position where they have the least power possible. They'll work a job they hate. They'll get in a relationship where they're constantly trying to control someone else, and someone's trying to control them, and that is what they think is power. Or they're trying to micromanage every situation. Fear of no power. Fear of those. Okay, so this would be the devil, right? So this would be fear of being I want to say passion, but I said passion already. It would be the Jack. Okay, so fear of the devil. That would be fear of my own sensuality, sexuality, fear of expressing my own creativity. And here's the big one. Fear that I'm not going to have any money. So this is the King of Diamonds, right? So that I lash myself and bind myself to something that I hate. Fear of going with the flow. God forbid I go with the flow. I might actually discover what is actually right for me rather than something that I constantly control and manipulate because of my worries. Where's that? Because of my worries. Fear of being bound and unable to do what I want to do. I see this all the time. Well, I want to travel. I want to do this. So they bind themselves to houses and careers and things that leave them so wrapped up and so bound that they have no energy and they get sick. And the Queen of Clubs is all about vitality or inner vitality. So they bind themselves up in all of these things that they're told we're supposed to have. You're supposed to have this kind of house. You're supposed to have this kind of, you're supposed to get this kind of education. You're supposed to go on these kinds of trips, and you're supposed to live in this kind of neighborhood, and all the things you bind yourself to. And then suddenly, I'm tired. I have no energy. I wonder why. Why would I want to actually be what I am? Or fear of, here's a good one. Fear of going through a situation that is alien to me. I might have to try something new. I might have to step out of my comfort zone. All right, this is a cool little deck here. Okay, the fear that comes from having to focus on one thing. Oh my gosh, I might have to focus on it and try to get better at it. Oh, it would be much easier to bounce around for 40, 50 years and then ask someone to come and help me get out of the situation that I've created. So think about this when you're wanting a career or a life purpose reading, or someone, if you're doing a life purpose reading for someone gets themselves in these situations, you have to know how to ask the questions to get around this. Someone can't come in from all of this fear and suddenly say, oh my God, I see that you're supposed to be a nurse, and then all this goes away. This deck is stacked against people, and it's dealt to them all the way through their life. Fear of being a living, corpse. So fear of being, you know, having all these pieces sewed together that don't fit, which actually is where most people end up. And then having no love. Fear of not being loved, which, if you remember, was Frankenstein's fear in the second, well, actually in the book and in the second movie. Okay, fear of being thought ill of by other people. And then the funny thing is this one is the one that everyone walks right into. Fear of having to wear a mask, and in so doing, all they do is live with masks, never knowing who they really are. And the big fear then is taking off the mask and finding out who they really are inside. And then we got our hearts. Ace of heart. Fear of having no love. And so what they do in this situation is they end up in a relationship because we've alienated ourselves from our core self. We end up in a relationship. Oh God, I got to get love then. I got nothing else. I got to get love. And then it turns out to be this. It turns out to be a shadow. You get in a bad relationship, and then that starts all sorts of things. Now, if I started combining all of these, we get into a really weird combinations and occurrences that people find themselves in these days. Because people don't want to ask themselves, who am I at my core? And they don't want to ask the hard questions. Why am I here? What am I good at? What do I like? And then they get into a position where all these fears that I'm showing you are dealt like they are here, spread out all over their lives. They get one and then the other and then the other. And then they say, someone tell me who I am. Be very careful about that. If you're going to go to a psychic about this, make sure the psychic knows how to ask you those questions to help you unlock those fears and help you get to that core piece yourself. Because when it arises from inside of you, then it's natural. When it comes from the outside, then it creates more fears. And we got, you know, someone else telling you who to be. Then you're bound to them. F. Scott Fitzgerald said, any man who knows you better than you know yourself owns you. And then when all of these fears come in, then the ghosts start to take over again, and you got more of the past. You're afraid of repeating the past, and in so doing, you won't take the action to correct it. There's an old Arabic, I think it's Arabic, proverb. No matter how far down the wrong road you've gone, turn back. I'm Lucky Lynx. This video is about fears and how those fears and what those fears are that keep people from getting to their core self. There is a core you that you were born with. And what's happened is someone's come along with this deck of fears, and they have dealt them all over your life. Some of them were by your own hand. Some of them other people did. And what you got now is a whole hand full of fears and worries. So if you're going to undo them, you got to start asking really good questions, really hard questions, questions designed at breaking down those fears. And you got to be kind to yourself. And you got to be aware that these fears that you've built in your mind are very, very clever, because you are very, very clever, and we are very, very clever at lying to ourselves and in deluding ourselves. So, this video is about fears that stand in the way of us being who we really are at our cores. And you are someone at your core. And I'm going to tell you that each one of you is one of 6 archetypes. One of 6 core archetypes. But we have been alienated for ourselves, because when we're alienated from ourselves, when we're worried and we're confused, we're easy to manipulate, and we don't go with the flow. So, this video is about your fears, and it's about how to connect to a deck in a significant way, because I did that with the last deck. You guys kind of saw that was cool. This is, as you saw, this was the first time I've ever worked. I just got this one in the mail. I ordered it because of the monsters. I love working with monsters because it shows me what is going on with people's fears. And if you know what you're doing, you can help people get out of those fears. Because you know what? Just like these monsters, all monsters have a weakness. You gotta know what the weakness is. So, if you're gonna do this stuff for yourself, realize that every fear's got a weakness. You gotta find out what the fear is. If you're gonna go to a psychic and ask them what your purpose is, they better know how to help you figure out the weakness of whatever fear that is. Or whatever delusion that you're feeding yourself, or whatever other reason. You know, maybe it's obligation. Maybe it's obligation to your mother. Or maybe it's obligation to your father. Whatever it is, if you can figure out what the fear is and you can admit it, that's the first step to breaking it down. And then you can start to put together the positive sides of each one of these, because each one of these fears has a positive side. And then you can start to build processes that can actually help yourself or help people to build a life that's more successful. I'm Lucky Lynx, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. If you want to schedule a reading with me, conjurehope@gmail.com or 779-302-8009. You can also, I'm going to put my PayPal down there. If you like these videos and you want to see them keep coming, then feel free to donate. Thank you to all of you who have donated. Oh my gosh, some generous, very generous folks out there, and I really appreciate it. And for those of you who are my clients, who continue to get readings, I very much appreciate you guys too. I very much appreciate all of you. If you'd like to register for a class, I have a playing card course. I'll teach you how to read like a boss. Intermediate to advanced tarot course that you can take. I will be starting a crystal ball course in a couple weeks. I'll be starting a Mexican Loteria course in the fall. A Grand Tableau class, Lenormand Grand Tableau, which is I'm going to show you some very tricky things about Lenormand. And that one, that's more advanced. If you want to take a basic Lenormand class, I have that as well. Classes happen in a Facebook, a private Facebook group. And the lectures are posted there, and then you each get 2 one-on-one coaching sessions with me, either through video conference or by call. So we can work through any questions that you have personally that stand in your way of divining and stand in your way of becoming the best diviner that you can be. So you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you on the next video.